Today we're going to talk about characters, and there are several terms we're going to have to define so that when we talk about characters in a story we can be specific with the types of things we're saying. This will help us to avoid saying things like, oh, remember when that good guy did such and such, or hey, remember when that bad guy did such and such? So what exactly is a character? Well, a character is anyone, who takes part in the action of a narrative. Most times characters are people, but they don't have to be. They might be animals or robots, aliens, awesome superheroes, or even awesome teachers. Characters in a narrative can be divided into two different types. You have major characters and minor characters. Major characters are the most important characters in the story, and they play a very big part. Minor characters, on the other hand, are the less important characters, who might only show up in a scene or two. One type of major character you'll find in a narrative is called a protagonist. There's usually one, but there can be more. The protagonist is the main character of the story, and it's their conflict that sets the story in motion. An easy way to remember protagonist is when you see the word pro inside of protagonist. Pro is usually a positive thing, so these are the good guys. Most narratives include an antagonist to make the story more interesting. The antagonist is just a character or force that is in conflict with the protagonist. The protagonist basically has to get through the antagonist in order to accomplish what it is they are trying to do. A good way to remember antagonist is that it has anti in it, which is against. In a narrative, we consider a character a dynamic character if they change or they learn something as a result of what happens throughout the course of the story. Harry Potter would be a good example of a dynamic character because he changes so dramatically from story to story, and especially when you look at his changes throughout the course of 7 novels. Not all characters change in a narrative, though sometimes they stay the same. These characters we call a static character. They don't change or develop over time. If you think of Filch from Harry Potter, he pretty much starts out as an old guy who's hanging out with his cat, and by the end of the whole story, he's still an old guy who likes to hang out with his cat. Our last two terms have to do with how developed a character is throughout a story. We call a character that's really complex and fully developed a round character. Round characters have lots of different personality traits, both good and bad, and we really get to know them throughout a story. Flat characters, on the other hand, are really one-sided. They're characters with just one or two personality traits. I hope this gave you a basic understanding of the terms that we're going to be learning about. Now it's your turn to put the terms and definitions into your notebooks.